the 16th. Let me bring in here now my some partners and colleagues. These are graduates from the training program in the spring. Joan Walmsley is going to join me. She's a global business veteran of over 45 years. She's held leadership positions in corporate sales and team management in the garment industry before setting up her own consultancy in 1992. More recently, she's been consulting in business communications training in Canada and has for the past 11 years been a transformation facilitator. Her book, Manifest Your Magnificence, was published in 2015. It's about the science of transformation. Also with me, Alexander Evatt. He grew up in a conscious family in New Zealand and Finland. He's in Finland right at this moment, and he'll be coming onto the screen. He credits his participation in an international youth camp in El Salvador at age 11 with opening the door to his global consciousness. He's completed a bachelor's thesis on conscious business and has served on the board of one of Europe's largest and most active student-driven entrepreneurship communities. His vision is to take next-generation conscious leadership skills into companies and business schools. So welcome to the program here, Alexander and Joan.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
All righty, there we can see Alexander. We'll see Joan here in a second too. Alexander, there we are, Joan. Hey, welcome.
Hi.
So great to have you here with us. We wanted to, of course, this whole webinar series is we're talking with amazing leaders like Neil and some of these other, Ken Wilber and Elizabeth Sautores, amazing people who most of them are on the faculty of the Conscious Business program. But I'm guessing a lot of the listeners are wondering, well, what's this curriculum like? What do people really get out of it? What's their testimonial? Joan, do you want to go first? Do you want to just kind of encapsulate, what was this experience like? How's it going to support you? What are things you might share with listeners who are maybe on the fence and not sure if the training makes sense for them or not?
Sure. Well, for me, I found myself, just as Conscious Business Initiative came along, I found myself in a position where I didn't really know how to position myself in the world. I had been in the corporate world for a long time, switched into consultancy, and I am actually in the business of transformation. And I couldn't really figure out how to pitch that. And then came along Conscious Business Initiative. And my goodness, how inspiring, how incredibly inspiring this has been for me. It totally, through the webinars, these are live webinars that you can interact with amazing teachers who have experience of conscious business and how to execute in real life terms. So we're interacting with these great teachers, and all of a sudden everything became clear for me. I could figure out how to position myself and how to bring my work back into corporate business. I thought I'd well finished with that, but it seems not. So yeah, inspiring beyond. Alexandra, I don't know if you felt similar.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you, Joan. Yeah, and Alexander, what was the program like for you? How's it going to benefit you? What would you say to people that are thinking about the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So it really started off for me. I did my bachelor's thesis on business administration, but I thought, wait a minute, there has to be something more to this, right? Like you mentioned early on, that wealth is not just money, right? We understand that there's so much more to it. So I found Conscious Business and did my thesis on Conscious Business. Of course, the only one in my whole university to ever have talked about it. But what I realized is I was just the only one using the terminology, the language of conscious business. But I realized most my friends, the so to speak next generation, they all were tapped into this already. It almost felt like they already had it. They were born with this greater understanding. And like Neil tapped on earlier, because of internet, we have our eyes open now. We are more awake, and that is a conscious awakening that is happening all around. So for me, it was really to find the curriculum, find the words, have the tools, and also examples, a clear platform of, wow, guys, see, this is what Ken Wilber is doing. This is what Alan Watkin is doing. This is what, Chris Laszlo and etc. And to have leaders that can provide you that curriculum and foundation for someone like me who has, just a scratch of business experience like the old generation, but I have the feeling, I know this is where it's going, and that's where I have my passion, and I know that this is so great because what Conscious Business is providing is exactly the framework, curriculum, and examples at work.
Yeah, amen. Well, and you both are decided to, as you mentioned, Joan, sort of stay. You thought you might step away from business, but no.
Oh my goodness!
To be a focus. And Alexander, just with your vision of bringing it into business and business schools. What's the business school thing? What's the idea there, Alexander?
Yeah, so basically, the idea, I've been very involved with entrepreneurial societies here in Finland, and we have a huge startup scene right now. And what's great is that within universities, they're totally created by the students themselves, funded by the students. So the idea is really to bring the curriculum into these entrepreneurial societies and then create a curriculum program that can then be launched into business schools. That's so important to get it out there because that is the future of business.
Amen. What would you all, or the community, I want to just talk a little bit about it. I was, of course, part of the closing ceremony in July, which was amazing, the testimonials as the students were all sharing of their experience, and faculty and humanities team leaders. Can you all just say a word, maybe Joan, you first, about the community that formed between all of the students that went through the first program?
This, for me, was one of the pivotal and most important points around the whole initiative, because it can be so isolating to be out there, doing your stuff, trying your best on your own very often. A lot of us are consultants, coaches, trainers, facilitators, working on our own, and to have this community of like-minded people, like-minded souls who are all working for the same end with the same intention. For me, it just was so supporting and so supportive, and I feel so passionate about this because I work, part of my work is with energy, and the concept of being in a group of people and with the same intention, the energy that creates in the world for transformation, for this sector that is so influential, is really, so important. And it's interesting to go back to what Neil was saying about what one person can do. And yeah, I do agree with him. One person can change the world. But my goodness, together we can really go far, and we can go faster, and we can support each other, we can share best practices, we can say what works, what doesn't work. I mean, this is a gold mine. This is a gold mine for anybody who is in business. I really can't, I hope I'm not shouting. I feel like I'm shouting here a little. I'm on my soapbox. But really, to you guys out there, it is so important to be within a group to do this work. We're not going to change the world as quickly as it needs to be changed on our own, but together we can, and we will.
Amen, Joan. Yeah, Alexander, what was the community to you? And also, you might bring in the community of practice. I've mentioned that a few times on this webinar. People don't have a sense for what is the community of practice. Alexander, if you want to bring that in too.
Right. Well, Oh, Joanne, I fully agree with you and share that energy. And it's so amazing. I'm sitting in Finland, you in America, someone in Australia, and it feels like we're right there. And that's great because through the screen, we can trick our minds to think that, oh, yes, they're there. But the thing is that we're always connected. And this is such a great way to bring it through. But yeah, just to short describe what is the community of practice and how it works. Basically, it's an online forum where we have different topics set up, and each of us can also create a topic, create a forum where we all can collaborate and talk. And what's also so great is the open discussions, because then you just find yourself in a room, but now by the screen, with just amazing people coming from different points of view. And now for me, being this generation, it's amazing to see the wisdom and to bridge that through, because I just feel, wow, that's exactly the way we need to go. And Joanne, like you mentioned, just that energy that is created, and I, I really feel the time is now to make this change, and each of us can contribute, but to contribute together as a community, feeling that we all being and fully flourishing at our most together, that's just so amazing. And for me, that's enough to know, wow, whatever anyone else says outside of this community, I'll go straight for what our goal is here together, because I know this is how we're going to change.
Amen. Yes, it is. And wow, this community, there were about 70 students in the first curriculum that went through in the spring, and it was so tight at the end, wasn't it? And now the community of practice, of course, has surfaced. Alexander talked a little bit about it. It's this virtual community, so that people that after they go through the training and even the certification after they become a certified conscious business agent, this is still quite bleeding edge. And so when we talk about how we create financial transparency and social transparency and ecological transparency and how a business is going to restore the earth, which is another principle of the Declaration, there's a lot of ambiguity. And so this community of practice is this virtual community, kind of a workbench community where everybody can stay connected and share best practices, share of work that they're doing with a particular client location. It's a way to keep everybody together. And it's been interesting. We hadn't thought of the community of practice as its own thing that people would want to join, but we're finding a lot of people, even if they can't go through training right away, are wanting to come into the community of practice to join with yourselves and others that are there so they can be connected with people all over the world that are doing this work of transforming businesses to conscious businesses. Alexander and Joan, let me just bring you in. Where people are missing classes, I imagine you all didn't make all of them, all of the live programs, and also the Friday program where there was all of the interaction. Can you all talk a little bit about that? Joan, do you want to go first?
Certainly. I was probably guilty of not doing as many of the sessions live as was possible because of my workload. So I was able to catch the recordings when it suited me, when it suited my life, when it suited my work. This is one of the great things about this program, is that it's flexibility. And you can arrange your life, or it can be arranged around your life and your lifestyle. I've got to say, if you can, it's best to do the live webinars, because you can then interact with the leader, whoever is presenting. But if not, it's a fantastic way to get what you need to know. And to embrace it, in your own time, in your own way.
Awesome, Joan. Alexander, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to add to that when I heard about this course, I was actually down in New Zealand, so I missed the first 2 weeks. But that wasn't really a problem, because when I got home, I sat the whole day and watched the replays. What was really my first experience of Joanne, you mentioned the interacting with the speakers. That usually depends on the speakers, but sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes 20 or half an hour. You have time to ask questions and interact. And that's when I really thought, wow, you know, what if I asked every single speaker what's their message, key message to the next generation? And it was just amazing, the information that came from there. And what's also I would like to really highlight here is that a lot of the speakers, they're actually not just there on screen, but they offer their email address to you. And throughout this course, they actually provide time so you can discuss. Now, I emailed Alan Watkins from Complete Coherence, and he actually offered me 1 hour Skype together with him, really consulting and advising me about how to start this whole project of Next Generation and what kind of sort of business challenges there might be, and really insightful messages. So it's really helpful, and through that you also can chat with others as well. So it's really flexible and highly rich in content in that way.
Yeah, let me mention. Oh, Joan, go ahead, please.
You just reminded me, Alexander, that I also had a conversation with one of the leaders. I spoke with Lance Secretan, who also gave me an hour of his most valuable time to talk about, you know, the castle principles, and because he blew me away. This gentleman spoke of love in business, and that just blew me away. I thought, I got to speak to this man, you know, and there he was. We had the conversation. Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, let me share. That is one of the things that that we're also real excited about, is that the faculty is really taking an interest in people. The whole, all of the participants and students, and many times, even like you say, will make an extraordinary. An hour is a lot of time. And these are, Lance Secretan was the CEO of Manpower, which is one of the largest companies globally. And then Alan Watkins heads Complete Coherence, which is an amazing company that uses the integral framework based out of the United Kingdom. Those are two of the faculty members here, but let me mention a few of the others for people that aren't familiar with the faculty and the Conscious Business curriculum. These are faculty members that are part of the fall program. Ken Wilbur is a lead faculty. He helped bring the integral framework into the whole program. He'll be part of the webinar tomorrow too if you join us. That's at 12 Pacific time. Alan Watkins, who Alexander mentioned, is on faculty. Elizabeth Sartoris, who's this biologist, she's based out of Hawaii, and she teaches in business schools. She's joining the faculty in the fall. She's amazing. Also will be part of the webinar tomorrow at 12 Pacific time. Andrew Harvey is also joining in the fall, who's an incredible activist. Sacred activism is his thing. And this whole notion of bringing sacred activism to business just lights him up. So he's part of the faculty. Michael Bernard Beckwith is joining the faculty here in the fall. We're real excited about that because he, of course, will be talking about how to just embody and express the divine, because we are a part of a single reality of one. And he's created books and courses and workshops and leads meditations and more. Of course, the Agape International Spiritual Center out in Los Angeles. So he's an amazing leader, and he'll be talking about how we can bring that kind of presence into business. And then Chris Laszlo, who was also mentioned here, and who's he's a leader at the Fowler Center for Business out of Case Western Reserve University. He's a key leader there, and he's the leader in this group, this alliance of 4 NGOs. He's the leader from the Fowler Center for Business that helped create the whole Conscious Business Declaration. His dad, Urban Laszlo, is another leader that helped create it, and then the Goi Peace Foundation, Hiro Sanji and his family in Japan were the other NGO that helped to create that Conscious Business Declaration. So some of the things here, is this entirely online? What's the time commitment? When are the classes held? Alexander, do you want to come in on those things?
Yeah, about timing and sort of when they're held, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right?
Right.
That's when the classes were held, and that well, of course, for me being in Finland, That was usually in evening time, so around 7 p.m. But for you guys on the American side, it'll be in the morning. So yeah, but then again, if you sort of you can't make it, then you see the slides. They'll be there for you, and as well as the recordings. But Joanne, how did you experience the time? That was morning in America,
It was
right?
evening for me because I'm in the UK.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
it was also evening for me. And yeah, as I said, I had to do some recorded because of the time, but it's not a problem. It's not a problem. And I just want to say, whilst we're on, it might seem when you're sitting there listening to us, well, and you're listening to oh my goodness, it's a 3-month course. Well, I got to tell you, it flies by. And it is so interesting. It's riveting. You kind of get hooked in the best possible way into this program because the speakers are so incredible and so inspiring, and you're learning so much. You know, I'm 65 years old and I'm still learning. I'm still a student. So there's plenty of scope there. You know, I can't really say any more than that. But 3 months is nothing.
It did fly by. And let me share too, humanities team, we also are part of the faculty. This whole focus on creating a culture of oneness is that's one of the courses that I teach. Of course, John and I do an opening program to just intro the whole thing. That'll be this coming Monday, the 19th. We'll launch with that, where we intro the whole curriculum and what is to come over that 3-month period. Then there's a program on a oneness culture, how you create that, and including the governance structure that supports it. There's a course on entrepreneurship that John teaches that talks about how inside of a large company such as Intel, where he worked before he came to humanities team, you can create a culture of oneness. And I talk about it in an entrepreneurial context, how you can start and grow a company with a oneness culture. So, as we close the program, what's the one thing that you want to leave with listeners here before you leave this program today?
Joanne?
First.
I just want to say, do it. You won't regret it. You can only grow and grow and grow.
Amen.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. One thing. Wow, that's hard. It's just so great. Now, sort of coming from an entrepreneurial background, I really want you to know that, it's not just for the community and the wow and the energy of just being together. You actually get concrete tools here and amazing curriculum and the language that you can take with you and work with in whatever field you are in. And I'm actually, my father Christopher, he's also part of this this course. So together we are now implementing it into a company using the material from the course, looking through the slides, videos. For instance, Hank Queen, he did this in Boeing, and the results from that, you just need to show one slide to a company, and that's it. That's load. So my one thing to you is it's amazing value in return for money. I think the price on this course, boom, it could be, what you can't measure it. So I'm very happy I did this.
Yeah, thank you, Alexander. Yeah, when we were looking at what a full price really could and should be when it's a course that's understood by the public better, it's really more like $3,500. So we do believe it's an extraordinary. Pardon?
Plus, I should. Plus.
Yeah, well, thank you, and it's one of these win-win-win things, isn't it? Because it's wonderful for us in our career, and the businesses will all benefit that we work with, the communities around the businesses will all benefit. This is the future. Truly, it is the dawn of a conscious business movement, and we like to see ourselves. We talked about this in the closing ceremony. We're at. This conscious business movement is it's already started. It's at the beginning. But it's already started, and we're working together through this community of practice to just light it up all over the globe so that we can create this healthy planet that we all know is ours.